opening statement.
Look, I've been deeply troubled and concerned about the increase in violence and crime that we have seen in the Glenorchy area in recent weeks. I've been speaking to a lot of people in the community who are also deeply troubled by what we are seeing, particularly the escalation of violent incidents that impact on everyday community members. People are telling me that they are fearful of going into the shops. I'm hearing from retail workers and store managers that the staff are feeling intimidated and fed up with some of the crime and incidents that they are experiencing in and around the shopping centres. We simply need the government to down tools and take urgent action to address the escalation in youth crime and violence that we are seeing across the Glenorchy community.
And as you said, you're out today going around talking to retailers and I'm assuming locals along the way as well. If you had to sum it up, what is the community outlook on this issue and how big of an issue is it for the Glenorchy community?
The community generally are feeling fed up with what they are seeing. They are feeling saddened that it has come to this, where youth crime and violence seems to have been escalating over recent times, and there does not appear to have been enough done to address it. It's sad that it comes to some really violent and damaging incidents, that it takes some really violent and damaging incidents to actually get the government to stand up and respond and listen to the outcry from the community. However, I am heartened by the Police Minister visiting Glenorchy today. I'm grateful to the Premier for taking my calls last night when I called him after a news spread of another incident occurring in Glenorchy. I am feeling much more heartened today that the government is taking this issue seriously and is starting to take steps to address it.
And obviously over the past 2 weeks we've had several major incidents make the news. How often is this happening and what events have unfolded so far that have kind of prompted this boiling point?
There have been a number of incidents over the last 2 weeks. I know of 6 particular I am aware of 6 specific incidents that have occurred over the last 12 days that community members have informed me of. Some that involve youth violence with other youth, some where people are known to people, other incidents where innocent community members have experienced violence and been affected by this behaviour, and that is simply not okay. We can't have Glenorchy being a place where vulnerable people, everyday people out to do their shopping or enjoy the connection that they experience with others in Glenorchy are affected by crime and violence. We need Glenorchy to be a place where people feel safe and are safe. The impact that violence and crime has on people's well-being individually, both physically and psychologically, is unacceptable. But also this sort of escalating violence and crime has an impact on the Glenorchy economy. You know, if we have people not wanting to come into Glenorchy to do their shopping, that has an impact on trade, that has an impact on jobs. It is critical that the government downs tools and acts immediately to address this crisis that we are seeing.
And have you said obviously it's been ramping up, but have you noticed, like, in a week how many incidences would be brought to your attention, would you say?
What I'm hearing when I'm talking to staff that work in and around the shopping centres is that it has increased. The nuisance behaviour has been ongoing for some time, and certainly when I was Mayor, I was on the phone to the Glenorchy Police Inspector often, asking for more proactive police patrols. I was hassling the Premier and relevant ministers for increased investment in police resources, for increased investment also in early intervention programs to provide young people with the support they need to choose better outcomes and pathways. I have been a strong advocate on this issue for quite some time. What I'm hearing retailers tell me is the level of violence has escalated to a level that they've never seen before, and that really causes them to feel fearful and intimidated. And some retailers tell me that they have staff who don't want to come to work because that's the fear that they are feeling, the level of the fear they are feeling, and that's not okay.
And I guess from here, how do we look about addressing these issues? What would you recommend as solutions to this problem going forward? Because obviously it's a very complex issue and there's no one-track answer.
This is a really complex issue and there is no simple solution. The government needs to make a plan and demonstrate its commitment to the people of Glenorchy and the people of Tasmania that it is willing to invest in a multi-pronged approach to address this issue. We need immediately, importantly, increased police presence in and around Glenorchy so that people feel safe and people are safe to go about their shopping, to go to work every day. I'm pleased to hear the Minister commit to increase police resources in and around the Glenorchy area, and I'll continue to speak with the retailers to ensure that they are seeing that happen and feel safe at work. People need to feel safe to be able to go into the community and do their shopping. So increased police presence is first and foremost what we need so people feel safe right now. However, that's not the only answer. Also, government needs to consider other options like increasing powers for security guards and training so that they are better equipped and able to intervene when they see incidents occurring. We need the government to consider a review of bail laws and whether they are impacting on the recidivism that we are seeing occur. We need the government to look at the outcomes of the youth court and sentencing outcomes and the effectiveness of diversion programs. Ultimately, we need to properly define the problem, analyse and define the problem if we are to come up with the right solutions to solve it. I have put these ideas and suggestions forward in a letter to the Premier some 10 days ago. I expect to receive a response this week, and I stand ready to work with the government to find solutions, to properly define the problem and to find solutions to address it from that multi-pronged approach. Critically, the government must also properly invest in the funding. Critically, the government must invest adequately in the implementation of its youth justice blueprint. For far too long, we have been waiting for the new model of care to be delivered to enable the closure of Ashley Youth Detention Centre. We know that locking kids up and throwing away the key isn't the answer. We know that what we are currently doing isn't working. We need a new approach. The government has set out a new approach in the Youth Justice Blueprint. Now they need to get on with delivering it, stop making excuses for why it's delayed, and invest adequately in implementing the recommendations or the actions in the Youth Justice Blueprint. Critically, to address the problem long term, we need the government to invest in more early intervention and prevention programs. We need the government to invest in supporting young children and families who are at risk of engaging with the youth justice system. We know police and teachers tell us that they can identify kids who are at risk of engaging with the youth justice system at primary school age. However, currently there are minimal programs, if any, to divert them to for support. If we are to prevent future generations going down this same path, if we are to stop this level of crime and violence before it starts, we need the government to critically invest more money, adequate resources in early intervention and prevention programs.
And how important is community solidarity in this approach going forward, not just from a standpoint, but also from consulting and actually rolling out these measures to address this problem?
The community voice is really important here. And look, going around the community in the last week, it is the number one thing that people want to talk to me about. People are fed up and people are asking, why is nobody else talking about this? We need to have a united voice to government for action. We need to support each other through this time, and ideally we need all members of Parliament in this area to be coming together and calling on the government to act to address the issues that we're seeing, to keep our community safe and to safeguard our future generations from going down this same path.
And a question to you personally, if you've seen the videos of, say, the Big W incident, how does seeing stuff like that being posted to social media make you feel, especially when it's happening in your backyard?
I've lived in Glenorchy all my life. I love this place and I love its people. The people of Glenorchy are a great bunch of people. They stick by each other, they are really loyal, and just like the people of Glenorchy, I'm really saddened and angry to see the level of violence and crime that we are experiencing. Watching the footage is shocking. You know, it makes me feel really sad to see young people acting out in that way. I'm sad for the young people as much as I'm sad for the people who are affected by this behaviour. I know the impact I've heard from speaking to people around the community, the impact of actually witnessing that level of violence and crime. You know, it makes people feel really intimidated, it makes people feel fearful to leave their homes. That's not the sort of community anyone wants to live in. So we need to pull out all stops to change things on a number of levels so that we can be a harmonious community again.
And is there anything else you'd like to say as a final comment?
Look, I lost sleep over this last night. I felt really shaken by the fact that another incident had occurred, and I've just been deeply troubled for my community that perhaps there wasn't, you know, a plan in place. I do feel more heartened today after being out and about, talking to some of the retailers and community members with the Minister for Police here in Glenorchy and Liberal Member for Clark, Simon Barakis, together with our local inspector, Inspector Klug, hearing from them firsthand what they're experiencing and allowing the police minister to hear firsthand the impact that it's having. I do feel more heartened that the government is taking this problem seriously. However, the message I will continue to push is that it needs to be this multi-pronged approach. It needs to be a balanced approach to ensure people are safe right now, and also there is adequate investment in the early intervention programs to safeguard future generations.
No worries. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Just a quick one. Sorry, did you want to mention the U-turn program and the others that were, or not?
Oh yeah, I could.
Yeah.
Or have you stopped?
I can go.
Sorry,
Okay.
just a thought.
Yeah,
That's
okay,
okay.
thank you. Yeah, I did say it before, didn't I?
Yeah.
That's something
I'm
I
ready
forgot
to
to mention.
go.
Okay. So when we're talking about, you know, early intervention and diversion programs, there are programs, models that have been tried and tested here and in other places. Years ago in Tasmania, people would remember we had the wilderness program that took kids who were engaged in early stages of engagement with the youth justice system out on camps into the wilderness. We had the U-turn program, which provided opportunity for kids who were offending to fix, repair cars. You know, those sort of programs seem to have been lost, and it's high time that they came back to provide other pathways for young people. Thank you.